We've really been giving her a hard time about all kinds of things today, so. Anyway, welcome everybody to our Thursday, September 21st City Commission regular meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. And if you'll join me and please rise as Jennifer Cowan leads us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us begin this meeting by taking a brief moment of silence and reflection. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Well, we just have one big presentation. I wonder who that's for. Okay, recognition of Georgianne Bissett on her retirement from the Dunedin Fine Arts Center. I am going to turn that over first to Commissioner Walker. Obviously, Georgianne, we'd like to invite you up.
Thank you.
Robert.
Thank you, Mayor. Georgianne, it is absolutely our privilege and honor to recognize your achievements and contributions upon your upcoming retirement. When the Dunedin Fine Arts Center was founded more than 40 years ago, the goal was to create a space within the community where the arts could be perpetuated and celebrated. Today, the Dunedin Fine Arts Center has not only accomplished that goal, but has surpassed it to become the culture and art foundation of our community. Georgianne, under your tenure as CEO of the Dunedin Fine Arts Center for the last 18 years and almost 9 months, you set the bar high for what can happen with a vision, a passion, a heck of a lot of energy, and community and donor support. Here's just a snapshot of what occurred under your leadership. Everybody might want to get comfortable. This might take a while. So first of all, the Fine Arts Center, the growth, from 18,600 square feet to over 40,000 square feet, with 10,000 square feet located at 3 satellite locations. The Dunedin Fine Art Education Program, today at approximately 7,000 students, which is up from approximately the 2,500 students that were attending in 2005. What that translates into, and this is a remarkable figure, is that this supports 160 jobs, generating approximately $5 million in economic impact to Dunedin, throughout Pinellas County, and the nearby region. That is a significant figure. The Fine Arts Center income has grown from approximately 780,000 to $2.5 million recognized in 22-23, and that represents, this is another phenomenal number, a 320% increase over the course of your 18 years. A lot of things that took your personal time, your personal effort, and of course the support of the community, the donors, the board, and all of us that are passionate about the mission of the Fine Arts Center, was specifically the spearheading of 4 major capital campaigns which raised approximately $7 million. There was the Creative Visions campaign, which added a dedicated youth gallery, relocated the Children's Art Museum, expanded the clay studio, added a new gallery shop in the Palm Cafe, established the Gamble Family Gallery, and added the groundbreaking culinary arts program. Georgianne, your tireless efforts were so integral to these successes, which were even more remarkable as you seamlessly navigated increasing overhead and operating expenses, while at the same time maintaining a healthy endowment, and not only that, but not only maintaining services, but expanding them. So on behalf of myself, the City Commission, the mayor of the city of Dunedin, we want to offer our sincerest gratitude and thank you very much for your service.
Oh, thank you. Oh, gosh. Thank you. You guys know it wouldn't be me if I didn't say a few words, right?
Well, please go ahead, because we all still have words too.
Oh,
but
well,
you
oh.
go do your thing.
I just want to say that without Sid and Tel, and of course, the good doctor, and the staff and the board, it would never have been possible. I would have been an abject failure if I hadn't had these people to help me. Whenever I thought I was challenged, I thought of Sid. Back in 1969, when she stood there raising money in her vision, I couldn't let that down. And the staff have been outstanding. Staff like Catherine Bergman, who did 2 jobs for 9 years, right?
Yeah.
So,
She has gray hair now.
yeah, and to thank the city. You've been there with us all the way. You have been such fabulous partners. Other cities, and you know this, would call me and say, how did you do it? I said, I didn't do it. You call the city. They're just great. So that's all.
Well, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Look at you. Gee whiz. And I look over there and look who I get to sit in, the good doctor. And what a room full of people. And everything that Rob said, boom. And then I'll add just only one thing.
Oh.
Your relationship with everyone has just been fantastic, and everybody's relationship with you. It's such a pleasure to see that and the enthusiasm. And that's, I think, what made the difference and made such an outstanding contribution. And you all ought to be proud of our Fine Arts Center. You are in my Rotary Club. We have been together
For
talking
years,
about things.
yeah.
She leaves the Rotary Club early to make sure she gets in before Sid could even possibly
Yeah.
know that she wasn't there. And I can attest to that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Many, many great days ahead of you. Peace.
Thank you.
Jeff, I'm going to go to you in just a second, but I cannot forget this announcement that I was supposed to make about 5 minutes ago. Former Vice Mayor and Commissioner Deborah Kynes sends her regrets. There is a floating illness going on in her house, and she didn't
Yeah.
want to get anybody sick.
Well,
So
thank you.
she sends her great love.
Oh, I know.
So I
And I
needed to
adore
say that
her.
because she's heartbroken that she can't be
I
here.
know, and I adore Deborah, and she takes.
Commissioner Gao.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Georgianne, you are the first person I have ever met that I felt I've truly had to watch my wallet.
And he's a tightwad, too.
It is a skill and an art form to watch you work a room. It is amazing, and I am so hopeful that that skill and art form is passed on. Because it has to continue. I know that you mentioned Sid's vision.
Yes.
And I would consider it a dream, but it's not a destination. It's a journey that you're always continuing to work on and grow. And the idea of what the Fine Arts Center has meant to not just Dunedin, and the entire county. And to even be considered, a bookend of sorts to St. Pete and what goes on in St. Pete is just amazing. And it all came from one person in our community. Mm-hmm. So for anybody listening to think that I can't do it or I'm all by myself, I need a group, no, it just takes some passion and hard work. And it's amazing to get done. But Georgianne, that hard work was all you. You have just done an amazing job for our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Oh,
Yes, here we go.
oh, God.
So I'll come at this from a different angle because
yeah.
I always kid you about this, but it's
Yes.
a very, very serious comment. So, back in the early 2000s, pre-Georgianne, it was Julie Scales that was on the hiring, part of the hiring committee, and she reached out to me and she said, I was assistant city manager, and she said, hey, can you help with the hiring of the new director? And I said, sure. So I did that and just worked with them, and it was a great team. But I always remember, too, I did the reference checks for you back then. And the reference checks were, of course, they were glowing. They were glowing. And I say that because I say to you kiddingly sometimes, like, I'm proud to have been part of the process. Because you just turned out to be beyond anybody's wildest imaginations of a success. And what you've done for Dunedin and how you've been part of Dunedin, and you live in Dunedin, and you just feel the vibe, and you've expanded the arts is just phenomenal. It's such a gift. It's a gift. It's a legacy you leave. I look at Sid, of course, I always say, when the chips were down and we might say no up here to something, who did you bring? You brought your secret weapon, Sid, always, because you knew, like, if you had your secret weapon, Sid, like, oh, we're toast up
We're
here.
toast.
So, but Georgianne, really, I mean, both professionally and personally, I admire you. You've given so much to Dunedin, and I know you're going to be around Dunedin, which is a great thing. But what a legacy. So thank you.
Gosh, thank you so much. Oh, wow, thank you.
So Georgianne, I can't get the vision out of my head in the old city hall with a room full of people with little paddles.
Oh, the flags.
No, these were paddles.
Oh, paddle.
It was like a revolt, and we were on the other end.
That's right.
But that was, that was how much Georgianne cared. So I say it in a very, lighthearted way, although I was scared for my life. I say it in a very lighthearted way. You've been there as long as I've been here.
Yeah.
I mean, you were hired maybe a year before I started. And just in the last year, I feel like I've, really connected with you and kind of gotten to know who you are outside of being the director
Oh. That
of
brought
the Arts
paddle.
Center. And, I think you're a rock star. I remember very fondly listening to you talk at the Chamber's annual Ladies' Lunch. And to kind of hear your life story, which, you had a life before the Fine Arts Center. It was pretty miraculous and pretty impressive. I mean, I have to say, I didn't know those things about you. So, girl, you need to be the mentor for my future.
Oh, yeah.
I'm calling you. But I think you and your organization on a whole helped define Dunedin in many ways and helped create the culture and the vibe here. There's many things. I've often said it's not just one thing that creates our vibe, it's many things. But you're a big part of that. You and what you've brought into that organization and the professionalism that you've brought to that organization. And I can't thank you enough for your service to this community, your service to the Dunedin Fine Arts Center, which is, part of Dunedin. Your entire family has served Dunedin, so thank you. I appreciate that. And having said those things, I thought maybe some folks here might want to come up and say a few words as well. So anybody in the audience like to come forward?
Do you have time?
Oh, come on.
No.
Mike Bowman, Chair, Steve Beatty, Julie Scales.
Well, and you guys hit a lot of it, but you just can't say enough how it's in Dunedin. If Georgianne comes and taps the wand on you and say, hey, I'd like you to meet with the governance committee and get on the board, it means so much to the community. But to say the professionalism she's always brought, how she handles herself, she's always been about the staff. And you heard her just say a minute ago, it wasn't for you guys, the staff. The relationship she has with the city is awesome. She has with the artists, the staff. I always say, if you want the hardest job in any board to get on, I tell friends, get on an arts, if you want a hard board to get on an arts board, and especially because you got to deal with artists, teachers, staff in the city, fundraisers, donors, board. It's incredible, and she does, but anytime you give her credit, she's always quick to point out that's due to the staff or it's due to the board. And ultimately, all those pieces are important, but it's just due to her attitude and what she's done for our center in the community. I mean, again, 50,000 square feet, largest teaching arts center in the Southeast, 7,000 students. It's what this has brought to our community is just an incredible. So I'm involved a little with the arts down in St. Pete, and they're so envious of what we have up here, and they came to us and to the city of Dunedin, I will tell you about, they talk about 15 years ago and looked at our model, probably without you guys knowing it, and then they've taken that back to St. Pete, and that's what's made them successful in their model there is based off of us here, and they've actually reached out to their museums and art facilities and want them, like, you need to become like Dunedin Fine Arts. So it's just been such, and she's always been, if you notice, we've kept the Dunedin in the name. That's always been one of our big pushes. People have always brought up, well, why don't we call it Fine Arts Center? Or she's like, no, you can't take the Dunedin out of it because that's who we are. And that's so important. But she means so much to our community. She's such a model for all the other nonprofits around the area. You know, I'll go to Tampa, I'm on some, and over here, and they all talk about, well, you're in that Dunedin, there's that lady, George. I said, Georgianne, like, yeah, well, she's incredible. So it's just been so great and growing the Arts Center and being involved with the city. And we can't thank you guys enough, too, what you always do every year.
Thank
The
you,
only
Steve.
time she ever has is every year when that little funding comes up. Then it's a little different game.
Oh, yeah, she's vicious.
Yes,
She's
yes,
vicious.
yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else want to come forward and say anything?
I'm Mike Bowman. I just wanted to say I have done a lot of committees, a lot of boards and everything. I have never met anyone like this lady. I mean, things that I thought we'd never get done, got done. It could have been the day before, but it's happened. You know, it's amazing. I have learned so much in this past year with her. I just can't tell you. So she should be, you know, it is an amazing thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? All right, I'm going to look at Jennifer. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And I remember my first Christmas here in Dunedin in 2017. I was invited to the Fine Arts Center for a breakfast, and I thought, oh, that's lovely. Isn't that nice? To I'm gonna go have a nice, muffin with Georgianne. But, and it wasn't. I mean, a lot of people don't know DFAC puts on a breakfast for the city employees every year to thank them for everything that they've done.
Aw.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, our public works folks, and even people like Jorge and myself who, sometimes we're in your good graces, sometimes we're not, but we tried. That's right. It's more important for Jorge than for me right now, I can tell you. But anyway, I mean, Georgianne is just grace and fineness, you really are. And I remember when I first met you, I thought, what a perfect director for our Fine Arts Center. Really, so eloquent, so well-spoken, caring, dedicated. And then you really understand how it is it grew under your tenure. So supportive of the board as they are supportive of you. And what a great group of people they are. I mean, it's just, it's truly amazing. And our relationship is just wonderful for 51 weeks out of the year, and then there's 8 organizations, so. Yeah. No, we've had our moments. No, I'm just kidding. But, and then that was when Sid and Tel would join us for the party, right? But I just had a little chat with Georgianne in the staff waiting room there because I'm not going to be able to make your party tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm going to be out of town. But just how much you've meant to the city, to staff as well, and working with you. And you are a tough customer as well. People should know that. I mean, you want things the way you want them, and so which is for me as a manager, I mean that's an attribute. So we're going to miss you. You said when we were talking back there, you're going to stay around. We're going to see your happy face around here. So I'm very pleased about that. But on behalf of staff, really, thank you so much for everything you've done for the city. and for moving us forward, you know, in the fine arts, because that's so integral to what Dunedin is. And, you know, our environmental, you know, initiatives and our arts and our history and those types of things, such a huge role in this city, and I thank you very much for everything you've done. Thank you, Georgianne.
So, Georgianne, we want you to come up for a photo. While you're doing that, I do want to say there's going to be several of us that are out of town and can't make your party tomorrow night. So I'm sorry about that. Have you ever not been able to count on a drink with me? You know they call me Mayor with a cup.
You hold that? Of course you do. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, perfect. I'm going to take a few. Ready? All right, we'll take some this way. Which side? You can do both if you'd like. Both sides are great. All sides are great. Yeah, yes. All right.
So elegant.
Okay, thank you. One more time. Thank you. One, two, three.
Who's that guy?
I can be bossy now. You can't fire my wife anymore.
How do you put up with that, Vanessa? Which is a good thing, probably.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Help me sending the check.
She figured that one out, didn't she? Okay, that's great. I'd love that. I'd love that, yeah. Yeah. Perfect. I love it. Mhm. Citizen input.
As we have folks leaving, we do have a time on our agenda for citizen input. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak to any item that's not already on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, you'll get a chance to speak to it then. So if there's anything else you want to come forward and say, please feel free to do so. Give us your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing or hearing none, we'll move on to action items. We have the second reading of ordinance 23-12, amending Chapter 58, Pensions and Retirement for Firefighters Retirement System. Jennifer, would you please read ordinance 23-12 by title only?
Ordinance number 23-12, an ordinance of the City of Dunedin amending Chapter 58, Pensions and Retirement, Article 2, Retirement, Division 2, Firefighters Retirement System of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Dunedin, amending Section 58-51, Definitions, amending Section 58-54, Finances and Fund Management, Establishment and Operations Fund, amending Section 58-56, Benefit Amounts and Eligibility, amending Section 58-59, Vesting, amending Section 58-66, Minimum Distribution of Benefits, amending Section 58-73, Military Service Prior to Employment, amending Section 58-78, Prior Fire Service, amending Section 58-80, share plan benefit, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. That was ordinance number 23-12, read by title only.
Thank you, Jennifer. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Franny and Vice Mayor Tornga. Thank you. Teresa, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. Teresa Smalling, Director of HR and Risk Management for the city. This is the second reading of this ordinance. The first reading was on August 17th. Just a quick recap, the changes to this, the firefighters' retirement system were made in response to the Secure Act 2.0 Act of 2022, as well as to remain in compliance with the Internal Revenue Code. In your packet, there is a letter from the Foster & Foster stating that there is no impact on the assumptions that will determine funding in the future. The ordinance was put together, framed by Fire Pension Board attorney Scott Christensen, and the Fire Pension Board the suggestion was made at the Fire Pension Board quarterly meeting in May 18th. This ordinance was reviewed by the city's benefits attorney, Lowell Walters. At this time, I'll take any questions that you may have.
This is second reading. Anybody have any questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak to this item? Come on down.
Hi.
Hi.
Is this on? My name is Abby Nygaard. I'm a student at SPC, and I just wanted to speak on behalf of item 2D. This item provides revisions on the employee service system rules, and I think it will have a positive impact on businesses that are converting to publicly operated after being privately owned. This revision provides an efficient way for current employees who are deemed essential to the business operations to keep their job, and an easy transfer for their employment in the public sector. With this revision, the chance of favoritism is eliminated, as the city manager and the director of HR both have to be in agreement of individuals that will be potentially carried over when the transfer takes place. This will allow the city flexibility to hire the most qualified candidates when they assume full operation. I believe this revision will benefit the city when the Dunedin Golf Club transfers to city-operated, and future situations where the city assumes control of previously private-owned businesses. With essential positions being filled, it leaves the city more time to ensure the remaining positions are filled with the best qualified candidates. This will also help the businesses and current customers have a smooth transition, as the current essential employees will be able to limit the changes made in the operations. All individuals being carried over will still be required to pass the initial screening and background check to ensure the basic hiring requirements are met. Overall, this resolution will have a positive impact on the Dunedin Golf Club, employees, and future employees of businesses that are consumed by the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thanks for your comments, but you are referring to item 2D and we're on 2A, but I won't
I'm
make you
sorry.
get up and do it again. So that's why I didn't interrupt you. I just let you go with the flow. Everybody heard what she had to say, so we'll keep that in mind when we get to item 2D.
Okay, thanks. Just wanted to say this is my first meeting, so
Well, that's why
that's why.
there was no way I was interrupting that flow. So good job. Okay, anyone else want to speak to the firefighters' retirement system? Okay. Maker of the motion, Commissioner Franny, any final comments?
No, I have no comments.
Vice Mayor Turngo? Just supportive. Okay. Commissioner Walker, no? No? Okay. I also don't have any. This is second reading. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tornga, Commissioner Franny, and Mayor Bujalski.
Aye, and that motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now- You're welcome. And then If you don't mind, you don't have to sit here for the whole thing. I'm going to move up 2D so she can hear that real quick, because the budget thing might be a long item, and that way she can leave when she hears the item. So I'm going to move up item 2D, which is, and then you can leave, too.
No, I can't.
Oh, well,
But thank you.
I thought I was doing you a favor.
Good try.
Then there's Resolution 23-22, adding an employment provision to the City of Dunedin Employee Service System rules. Jennifer, please read Resolution 23-22 by title only.
Resolution 23-22, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dunedin, Florida, adding a provision to the City of Dunedin Employee Service System rules, repealing Resolution 19-01, authorizing implementation by the city manager, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. That was Resolution 23-22, read by title only.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Walker, thank you. Teresa?
Hello again. So next year, as you all know, the Dunedin Golf Club will transition to operational control of the city. To aid with an effective transition, the city wishes to retain the 5 full-time employees who are currently working at the club. These are the head golf professional, John Falcone, who's been employed at the club for 23 years. David Williams, the assistant golf professional, he's been employed at the club for 22 years. Tony Pasquine, and I forgot to ask him how to pronounce his name, sorry, has a tenure of 9 years at the golf club. Michelle Roney, administrative assistant, is also one of the full-time employees. And Jim Tucker is the financial analyst at the Dunedin Golf Club. In discussing how best to accomplish this, the city staff discussed the options with city attorney's office, and the decision was made to amend the city's employee service system rules, or as we call it, the ESSR, by adding a provision which allows the city manager to authorize the direct hire of the employees. This new provision, which is Section 7.6 in the ESSR, it is proposed that Section 7.6 in the ESSR is similar in content to Section 7.02, an existing provision which allows for direct appointment of current employees. So staff recommends approval of Resolution 2322, which will allow the 5 employees to transition to city employment when the city takes operational control of the Dunedin Golf Club next year. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Commissioner Franny?
Yeah. Sorry, got my microphone on. I've had a discussion with the city manager about this. I fully understand about the golf employees' unique set of circumstances that we need to deal with in some way. Personally, for me, though, I feel this is too broad. I think it opens us up to a lot of unintended consequences farther down the road. I say that as somebody, and I'm not worried about Jennifer, but I've been around long enough to know there's some people that may use this broad authority in a way that we might not want to. So I would like my fellow commissioners to consider that maybe Jennifer, and we've talked about this, that they may go back and maybe craft something that's a little bit more narrow and doesn't have the same concern for unintended consequences in the future. I mean, we're not on a timeline. One meeting won't make a difference, so.
Okay. All right, that wasn't a question. So
Yeah, well,
give me
I
a minute. Don't mess with my process here.
Right, but I did want to put it
No,
out there.
no, I get
I'm
it.
not waiting to surprise everybody after
At the
everybody
end.
makes comments, because obviously, I used to be the HR director here. I worked closely with the employee service system rules, and with some of the nuances that occur, as you're operating it. So I wanted to put it out there. If everybody's comfortable with it, fine.
Okay.
I just would like to see it more narrowly focused.
Jennifer, what's your thoughts?
Well, and first of all, and the commissioner had specified that this isn't reflective of the employees that we want to hire from the golf club. And they need some, assurances about what their future holds.
Reassurance.
Yeah, reassurance, thank you. about what their future holds. Subject to discussion by the city commission, we're more than willing to work with the city attorney to narrow down the scope of the amendment to the ESSR and bring it back to you. As long as the message to the, golf club employees is that we do intend to hire them, and we need to, as a matter of fact. They have the subject matter, they are the subject matter experts. It's very
Do we have to wait
narrow
for this
workforce.
before we can hire them?
Yeah, I mean, yes, we need to, there's really no direct recruitment of an outside source, an external candidate in our ESSR.
So there is well, wait. Wait.
And I would like Teresa to kind of weigh in here, but the point is that our recruitment process is specified by our ESSR. And so, and we don't want to deviate from that recruitment process without that being specified within the ESSR.
And the change in the recruitment process is what again? I'm sorry.
So,
I mean, I didn't expect this, so I missed the whole.
okay. So it would be a direct appointment by myself, working along with Teresa, of an external candidate, bypassing the recruitment process, i.e. we're not advertising, we're not interviewing, we're hiring them, and we would do background checks. I mean, that's a given.
It's conditional
and all the other
hire.
things that we do,
Okay.
yeah.
And your concern, Commissioner Franey, is somebody in the future could do that with every hire.
Absolutely.
There's
and
no,
I
there's
think
no limit in there, is
Right.
what you're saying.
the heart of, it's the employee service system rules, therefore a service to the employees, so it's protecting employees. So I think, to me, that's autocratic. That it basically takes all the protections of employees and gives an absolute waiver to the city manager to do it anytime, as many times. Now, granted, somebody would see that probably, but someone comes to mind from the past who would absolutely, I think, use some of that power in a way that maybe I wouldn't be comfortable and you wouldn't be comfortable. So I just think more narrowly focusing would be a protection for the future. Again, I go back to the employee rules and how to fill vacancies is there for a reason. It's there for a protection so that there's a process that employees can count on. And this is an exception, a blanket exception to all those processes. So I just think we should be careful. Unintended consequences.
So, and it may say this, because, I mean, I reviewed it, but it didn't, I don't have it open in front of me. It doesn't stand out to me. Jennifer, if it said something, in case it doesn't already, if it said something like in specialized positions, because to me, at least if it's I mean, that's kind of the reason why you do it, is.
Well, one of the things is, or for the efficient operation of a city government. I can tell you it will always be more efficient to say, come and work for
Oh,
us.
I know. Let me
So
tell
I'm
you, I
just
get all
saying.
kinds of complaints
Yeah,
about
I
how
just-
long it takes us to hire people. I hear it all the time. So I get what you're saying. So Jennifer, is some kind of language there where, does that make some sense to you?
Well, so there are criteria specified within the proposed
Can you tell us
amendments.
what that is?
So there are A through F, and it says the city manager, together with the director of human resources, deem it to be in the best interest of the city to do so. That's the external direct appointment for one or more of the following reasons. A, in order to meet employment obligations imposed by federal, state law, administrative agency decisions. These really mirror what we already have in here in regards to direct appointment of internal candidates, of existing employees. So it's really the same. B is for the efficient operation of city government. C is for the efficient delivery of services to the public. D is because of reorganization of a city department or departments. B is because of the special knowledge or qualifications of a candidate, and I would say that the golf course falls under that. And F is because of other reasons demonstrating sufficient cause to justify such exception.
Okay. All right, well, this is your thing, so I don't know what to do, but, I mean, I hear what you're saying. What is it, did you say 5 or 6 items? They are pretty broad. I mean, I readily admit that. There's only one that's a little bit more specific. But,
I think, Mayor, if you could give us a couple weeks to work on this and bring it back.
well, what I don't want it to do is hold up, if you need to hire people,
So they will, I don't mean to interrupt, Mayor, I'm sorry.
no, go, I'm
Bad to
looking
interrupt
around.
your mayor during a discussion.
Girl, Have you seen the people I live with every day in my house? I live with a lot of men. They interrupt all the time.
So we have been working with those five future employees in terms of what the benefit plan is, and they've been waiting for the city commission to adopt some sort of resolution or some sort of exception in order to legitimize the process, if you will. So we have informed them that we're going to hire them in some way, shape, or form.
So
can we,
I was just going to say, put it in there and let it sunset in a month.
Okay, I mean, we can, yeah.
I mean, just let it, then it's a one-time shot, done, it was legal, but now it's gone.
Teresa?
I serve at the will of the city manager.
Okay, so we'll do that.
well,
She's sharp.
what you just said, what you did was less complicated than what I was going to say. I was going to say, stick with that number 5 or whatever that says specialized, specialized thing. You just use that and then come back with any other language. But that gets you at least hiring until you can come back with the other language that you wanted.
I've been involved with the city for almost 40 years. We've never needed this. We need it now. Just put it in and sunset.
That's fine. I think that's great.
easy, yeah.
It's a great idea.
Okay, I need to open it up to our colleagues, and I haven't opened it up to the public. So, colleagues. Rob? Commissioner Walker? Are you okay with that change for now?
Yeah, I think so. I totally understand the HR perspective on this. I guess the only concern I would have is that we make sure that they know that, we're just getting this put together so that they will be hired. But I actually have a question that's totally unrelated to this.
Go for it.
The 5 positions, are those in the current headcount plan?
Yes, they were presented before the commission earlier this year.
Okay.
So if I may add, those have been incorporated in the golf course enterprise fund starting in March.
Okay, perfect. No, I don't have any objection to
Vice Mayor?
letting this.
I had a separate set of questions. I'm going to go ahead and ask them in the way I had them before. So
Do you want to comment on what Commissioner Franny is recommending first? Because that's what we were just talking about right now.
no.
No?
So my understanding in my conversation with the city manager was that she did not have a problem with what was occurring here, and that she thought that this fit within our scheme of things. I just simply want to ask you a simple question. Do you have a problem with this, the way it was presented to us, obviously? I'm just curious. I'm in a learning environment here. How about that?
Well, Vice Mayor, we discussed it with the city attorney, and this was the avenue that we came up with, knowing that any policy that we write is always living, breathing. And so, we can make changes as needed if that's the will of the commission and the city manager.
So the question as it relates to what was presented here, so we're asking to have the proposal go away after a period of time?
That's what it sounds like. So it would be specific only to this transaction with the Dunedin Golf Club.
So I almost thought it implied that before, but it didn't, huh?
Well, it was just basically
Only for this?
put there because we were doing it, and, it could happen again where we...
So it should be sunsetted then? Or it could be?
Yes, it could be.
And it can be done quickly?
Very.
And so we have the director of golf here, and so he can communicate that to the folks. So we're really not causing any big issue here in your opinion.
No, I don't think so.
I'm fine with that.
Anything else? Commissioner Gao?
Yeah, actually, I was going to suggest sunsetting myself, so well done. But I'm wondering if part of the process for this change is to expedite things and just kind of move along quicker, the fact that we're now asking that this item be massaged a little bit more and brought back to us at a future date, is it possible for us to approve it as it is tonight, let them do what they need to do, but then as a commission, we have to review this in a month? So there's no sunset, but we've accomplished the same thing. I don't know if that's procedurally okay. I don't know if that's accepted, but so.
Procedurally, okay, it's whether the group is willing to do it.
Right, because the idea is if they take it back, massage it, bring it back to us, we didn't accomplish any difference in time as far as the hiring process is concerned.
I mean, for me, in response to that, for me, the item that says, because of the special knowledge or qualifications of a candidate is what we're dealing with here. And so I'm going to give you a third way to approach it, and that's take all the other ones out except that one, because that's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in the different enterprise funds where it's very specialized. You find somebody, there's certain, I mean, we're having a struggle hiring engineers. We're having a struggle hiring in water and wastewater and stormwater. I mean, those are special things that, you know, you can maybe get through the hiring process quicker. But it's really the only reason I see to do that. So I'm agreeing with you to some degree. It is the only reason. You're chomping at the bit over there. What?
No, I just wanted to offer up that if you wanted to follow the sunset provision that was offered, I could just give you the additional language. You could move to approve the resolution with the addition of that language included in the policy, and you could approve it tonight.
Let me just tell you I'm not going to vote against it if that's what everybody wants to do. My only concern about the sunset thing, there's something shady. It feels shady to me. It feels like, why is that okay for us to do it for this one group and then make it go away? That feels like we're trying to get away with something, even though I know that's not the intention at all. And so I don't like the look of that. It's not clean. To me, to be clean and to address your concern, because I appreciate your concern and your long experience in the world of HR, to me, the issue is the specialized stuff, credentials that these folks have. And I believe that that is going to come up, and does come up. That's the thing I think should stay. Everything else that's in here, I agree when I'm looking at it now, Commissioner Franey is right, they're very broad. So to me, it's remove those other things, leave the special, whatever it says, I'm sorry,
Special knowledge.
because of the special knowledge or qualifications of a candidate.
Mayor, I would propose.
And then just, and leave it there and not have that sunset. Because that's really the only reason you would do that. That's legitimate, in my mind. Would,
Can I comment?
yeah.
I mean, I get that, but this is being brought to us for a specific reason. And the article is, there's no other facts being presented to show that we have a problem, you know, and this would help it, you know, for engineering or whatever. So for me, deal with the issue, and then if there's another reason to bring an article back to the SSR on a permanent ongoing basis, then let's see the real facts of that. I mean, that's just what I feel. And
But that still holds it up.
well, I'm just saying, let this sunset because
I
we
know,
need
but
it
then
for
every
business.
time they need to adjust it, they got to come back and get policy approval for it?
The only reason they're bringing it to us is because of the golf people. They may never, if there's other issues, then that should be thought through and brought as a permanent, ongoing part of the SR because it's an ongoing issue. But that's not why we're here. We're here to solve one problem that's unique. And there's nothing illegal about it.
I'm looking at both of you. Do we have this problem in other areas? I mean, the specialized knowledge or qualifications?
No. No, I don't think we do. I mean, I'm thinking, for example, in engineering, we have a problem with the number of engineers currently in the market. That's our problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really specialized knowledge. You know, many people have that. It's hard to get, right, Jorge? But, you know, people have it. You know, in this case, it's that unique skill set and the knowledge of the golf course that we're looking for.
So, what do you want to do?
So I think the sunset provision, if we could provide it tonight, would work. You know, if we do the sunset, then we can give them the offer letter. Offer letter will be effective on the date that we take over the golf course, and they'll have their path moving forward, and we'll be fine. I think, you know, in terms of it being shady, I think it's just awkward.
It is,
We
and
are
I don't like
discussing
it. I don't like it, and maybe shady's not the right word for it.
But I
I'm
think
just saying there is, like what Commissioner said, this is something that does protect the existing employees as well, and I just don't like the idea of changing a rule just to change it. And then go back to fix one problem. When, if you leave it here because of special things, I just feel like it's cleaner, and it has,
And you wait for the unintended consequences.
I'm not talking about everything, I'm talking about one thing.
Look, I've said
But
time and
except that I also, I understand you looking back, I'm looking forward. And in doing that, I think that narrowing the ability to make that decision is the right thing to do, which is what I'm suggesting, and trusting in the people we have to utilize that exception to the rule when it's necessary. But we're also narrowing the scope, like, you know, by only leaving that one comment, but,
Mayor, may I?
yes, sir.
Would it help, Mo, would you feel more comfortable if, along with this, the city manager had to report quarterly on any hires through this process? And that report included historical hires. So we can, if there is a trend that we might be concerned with, if we just get a report that just acknowledges one hire, we might not see that trend. But if we can see that, wait a minute, she's getting out of control.
Well, I mean,
I'm
I
kidding.
think if we
I
did
say
it,
that tongue in
I think
cheek.
if we did it, that makes sense. But to me,
You know.
we have a unique circumstances that hasn't happened for 100 years, or whenever the SSR was written. We deal with the unique set of circumstances, and we don't make permanent law to deal with a very unique set of circumstances that hasn't happened for, I'll say, 60 years. That's my opinion, so. And I think we just add a lot of bureaucracy and worry and potential for unintended consequences to make something permanent law instead of just facing that we have a unique set of circumstances. Let's deal with it and be done. Nothing shady about it. We're taking over a golf course. So that's just my view.
And
I'll
I
be
hear
quiet
everything
now.
you're saying, and
I'll be quiet.
I'm going to do my best to be as respectful when I say this as possible.
That doesn't sound good at all.
I know, it sounds so bad, but
And
I'm
by
just,
the way, I continue
I'm
to
just
look for the
forewarning people,
You
My
might want to
colleagues.
change your comments if you want to come back up and speak.
colleagues. We have nothing to do with hiring. This is the city manager's purview. So,
We set the
We set the
guidelines,
policy.
and that is our job.
Right.
100%.
no, I get it. That's why I want to really respect what you feel about it. I do.
I'll accept the will of the commission. I've made my case. That's all I can do.
I just feel like I don't like the idea of a sunset. Can you come up with another option? Because that, to me, I'm going to go back to using the word shady. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. I would rather not make the change here and just do a resolution that we're doing a one-time thing and moving it on separately. I mean, I don't like making a change to our employee handbook and then letting it sunset.
Right.
It just feels weird and awkward and frankly, shady. It's the only word I can come up with.
Great suggestion.
Right.
that we create a resolution that bends the rules, or whatever you want to call it, that says, for this one instance, I would rather have that.
Do one resolution that suspends the rules in recognition of these unique circumstances and allows for the
Can
hiring
we make
of
that
those
motion?
individuals.
Or do we have to have the written resolution and it has to be advertised?
That one, I need to do a written
So
resolution.
what's your time frame for the hiring?
So they need to be on board on March 1st. So
So we're not, okay, so we're okay.
we can draft the resolution and bring it back at a city commission.
Let's do that.
As
They
long
know we
as,
want
as
them.
long as because like I said, we've been working with them all along. It's taken a long time because it's an entire process. is
Then I'm
cumbersome.
happy with that. Are you guys okay with that then?
Oh,
That
I'm-
process?
I'm fine with that.
Because then it's not,
Ladies are happy.
then it's not the,
Right.
then it's not the whole employee handbook that just changed and then sunsets.
I feel like I'm arguing over the thermostat. I know this is,
Well,
No, the TV channel.
hers is the concept, me it's how to get it done the right way that doesn't look shady.
I think
that-
that
Well,
will
I'm not
work.
trying to do something shady, so watch your language,
Well,
please.
no,
It's a
I'm-
one-time unique yeah, okay, awkward is better. You need
Well-
to stop using shady, because we're not.
But
doing
I'm saying if we
anything
did it that way, it would look in the future, people looking back on it, they would be like, why did they do that? That seems unnormal.
Can I just tell you that I think your idea is way better?
There you go.
resolution is wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
I like it.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to approve this
Yeah, I think
thing.
that they have
I need Commissioner or Vice Mayor Torga to withdraw it.
I will.
And you agree with that, Commissioner Walker? Yes. Okay, I also want to open it up to the public, anybody else wishing to speak to this item, because I didn't do that.
He's already said everything.
You said everything? Okay.
Now you've had the real experience.
But I'm glad I moved it up.
Oh, my goodness. She's going to go back to her instructor and say, you got to watch that
Motion has been
meeting.
withdrawn. The consensus direction is to bring back a resolution that will make this one-time adjustment because of the special qualifications required. Okay?
Great idea.
I love it. Mayor, you're brilliant.
She's trying to get her butt out of here, just like you are.
But we very much appreciated the citizen comments.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, back to item number 2B, which is Resolution 23-12, which establishes the 2024 final millage rate. Jennifer, can you please read Resolution 23-12 by title only?
Resolution 23-12, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dunedin, Florida, adopting the final millage rate for ad valorem tax revenue for fiscal year 2023-24 at a rate of 4.1345 mils, or $4.13 per $1,000 of assessed property value, and providing for an effective date. That was Resolution 23-12, read by title only.
Awesome. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Walker, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Franny. Okay. Second reading, so quick. Means we don't have to have a lot of discussion, hopefully.
You have any comments, Jennifer?
I do, yeah. Mayor, if I'll just open up really quickly, and I'm probably stealing some of Les's thunder. I usually do that in my opening remarks, but typically the second reading of the budget and adoption of the budget and the municipal business plan is relatively short, and that's because a lot of work has been done before in a lot of public hearings. So I just want to kind of highlight the work that's been done to bring us to this point. So it doesn't seem as if the City Commission is willy-nilly adopting a budget and a municipal business plan. We kicked off the budget on February 24th of 2023, and that's with staff. And we set up with staff what our projections are and what our operating costs will increase by, and have them work with their supervisors to draft the budget. We had the City Commission Strategic Planning Retreat, which is a precursor to development of the budget module. We had our draft business plan, was published on the 20th of May of 2023. And then we had on June 1st of 2023, your first budget workshop, and that was regarding the CIP and the draft business plan as well. You had comments and direction for staff, and there was, as I recall, quite a bit of direction for staff as a result of that first budget workshop. During the City Commission work session of the 20th, you reviewed your own budget. your travel and your education funds on the 13th of July. You set your established maximum millage rate, which was 4.1345, and that's what was published, and the truth and millage notices were sent out to the property owners. On the 18th, you had your second budget workshop, and that was on the proposed budget itself. On the 18th, the City Commission workshop, I'm sorry, that was the proposed budget. The third City Commission workshop was on the 15th, and that was when you looked at your larger scale capital projects. You had your first budget meeting on the 6th of September, and that was a tentative millage rate and the tentative budget. And then today is your last public hearing, your adoption hearing. There have been a number of agencies, as you noticed from the newspaper, who are advertising. This budget adoption has been advertised in the Tampa Bay Times yesterday, I believe it was.
Saturday, or Sunday. Sunday,
Tampa Bay
excuse me.
Times on
Sunday.
Saturday. I was looking for it, and Les has a brief presentation, and then we'll move to adoption. Thank you. Les, go ahead.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Leslie.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Les Tyler, the Finance Director, and I'm here with Ashley Kempton, our Budget Manager. And as mentioned, this is Resolution 23-12, establishing our city's final millage rate of 4.1345 mills for fiscal year '24. The millage rate of 4.1345 mills is 10.24% more than the rollback rate of 3.7503 mills. The rollback rate is the rate that would generate the same amount of property tax revenues as approved for the prior year, less some allowances. When the tax base increases, the rollback rate is less than the prior year's tax rate. The City Commission held a public hearing and adopted Resolution 23-10, establishing a tentative millage rate of 4.1345 mills for fiscal year '24 on September 6, 2023. A millage rate of 4.1345 mills is the same rate the city has passed since 2016. The fiscal year '24 will be the 9th year at this millage rate. The rate will generate $15,457,000 in the general fund, budgeted at a 95% collection rate, and it will generate $938,888 for the city's portion of the community development TIF revenues. Staff recommends approval of the final millage rate at 4.1345 mills for fiscal year '24.
Okay, any questions for Les?
Yeah, so I just wanted, I think you might have misstated the number. I think 1.5 million is the impact to the general fund top line, right? Not 15 million?
The total general fund revenue that is being, for fiscal year '24, based on this millage rate, is $15,457,000.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, I got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay, anybody from the public wish to come speak to our proposed millage rate? All right, seeing or hearing none, we'll come back to the maker of the motion. Any final comments on the millage rate? Commissioner Walker?
Yeah, I think it's important that we bring out some numbers here with regards to what a millage rate rollback would look like. So basically, full rollback would be approximately $1.5 million reduction in general fund revenue, and then would also result in the same, we'll just call it pool of money that would be available to commercial and residential property owners. And so if you translate that, the commercial parcel count, the parcel count is 845 in Dunedin. This is for commercial. And the total rollback savings would be approximately 202,000, which would be an average savings per parcel of $230 per year and $20 per month. So that's not a big number, and that's only for the commercial parcel owners. If you're a residential parcel owner, the count is 17,164, and the total rollback savings would be approximately 1.4 million, which would be an average savings per parcel of $78 per year or $7 per month per residential property owner. So the economic impact is not a lot to our property owners. And again, this would only be of benefit to those people who own property here in Dunedin. So if you take a look at what a $1.5 million reduction would do in our general fund, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be talking about what services we're going to cut, over the course of this year. Not that we would be in that position, because obviously, I think, as always, the staff has done their homework, and the recommendations they are providing is sound. To put that in perspective, the Board of Finance also did not recommend a millage rollback. So my point in this is that I am not in favor of a rollback. I'm in favor of passing the millage at 4.1345, and that's my vote. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Frainie.
So I soundly concur with Commissioner Walker, and thank you for laying out the numbers like that. I appreciate it. Again, I said this last time, I don't agree with everything in the budget, but I support the budget. I think it's a good budget. We had lots of budget workshops as laid out by the city manager, and we also know we had lots of pressures, and those are the same pressures that I worry about. I mean, 60% of our general fund budget is labor. We had to do a significant adjustment to our pay for our employees, and part of that just to be able to hire. We can't get the people we need, and we're not getting the help, and we're tiring out our current employees, and we're not paying them market. So we had to do a lot with that. Again, my philosophy has been to provide a slow, steady, stable, responsible budget for our citizens. I don't want to be back here either deciding what services to cut. Slow, steady, stable to me is the best conservative business approach. Again, I'm going to reiterate what Commissioner Walker said about the Finance Board, our citizen board, the most important board we have because they're only the only charter citizen board we have. And that group of experts basically recommended to us very soundly that we should be cautious, we should keep our current millage rate, keep it stable, and not roll back the rate. I'm going to say with all due respect to the Vice Mayor, who is the one that wants to do something and roll back, I personally do not like anyone up here voting against the budget. When the time came for them to put forth ideas on what to cut in the budget, they had none. I gave a fairly long list of cuts as part of this budget process. I did this to ensure that we're being as lean and mean as we can from budget to budget, which I think is our job, but again, also is our job. But my job wasn't because of rolling back. My job was to take the long-term view for stability to our residents. And I believe that we've worked hard on this budget. I believe it's a good budget. I believe it's a conservative budget. I believe it's a responsible budget, and I think we should move it forward.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and react. First of all, when someone lives somewhere and you roll back a tax and they don't get it, that's some advantage to them because, trust me, people don't rent out and not include taxes. If they have to pay taxes, that goes into the requirements for the rent. Second of all, I asked for a rollback. I didn't say what percent. I've discussed that before. I said, if nothing more, we have people hurting. I am passionate about the people that are hurting. I talked to a school board member this morning. We have members that are teachers in our school system here in Pinellas, in Dunedin, who are very well strapped for what's occurring today. They're having an inability to purchase everything that they really would like to purchase that they need to purchase. We have tremendous gas prices right now currently. We're up to $4 a gallon. Electric has gone up to 14%. We have inflation running at somewhere around in the neighborhood of 4%. We just had an announcement from the Fed. This is going to go on and on and on. We have wage inflation. We have people that are hurting. And so if we wanted to come up with some other percentage, that would be fine. If nothing more, we're showing that we're attempting to support. Can I find that money? I can. For example, if we wanted to give $600,000 right away, we ended up in our budget with a number of $600,000 going into the golf club. I didn't know anything about that, was not happy about that. It was reduced down to $300,000. Well, there's $300,000. Some of this is just letting people know that we care. As someone said, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Well, it's still money. It's still money to them. And I'm not going to go through all the problems that people are having. We went to a meeting last night. We have people that are not living in their houses right now because they got flooded out. So I met a lady who is having a total disaster, and she's a Dunedinite and been a Dunedinite forever. She born and raised here. So she's losing her house because of the storm, but everything's gone wrong now, so the wheels are falling off. So one of the things that I really wanted to do is I just wanted to make sure that we're concerned, the slow, steady, conservative. I'm being slow, steady, and conservative in my remarks right now as to what I'm asking for. I don't need to be attacked for that. Don't want to be attacked for that. I represent the residents, and I know who I've talked to, and I know what I've seen, and I know what people are experiencing right now. So I'm going to not go through all of that. There's tons of things that are. I read the newspaper here at the last meeting we had. I got two articles right from our paper here, just recent, talking about this, talking about what happens when we have employment the way we have. I'm concerned what happens if we get a slowdown or things start to really not go well for us. They talk in here about when we bring on additional people. We have 46 people. It was reported by the personnel department, and they did a great report. That we have 46 people that open positions. So how about if we just slow that back just a little bit so people can see that we understand what's happening. If in fact we end up in a situation where we end up letting 4 of these projects go. These projects came and went to us. One time they were in and then they were not, and then they were in and then they were not. If we just let one of them go right now, the project, for example, is the garage, and just held it out of the budget for right now. So $1,200,000 in design, and there's almost $500 and some thousand in the management of the project. So people say, well, we'll stop it when we want. No, that's not what happens. I don't see very many things going into what drawer projects are. Finding money, for me, at that point in time, if we wanted to really talk about it, I didn't think we did, I would ask the city manager to come back and give her a specific number and ask us to give some indication of what we might be wanting to do. We're adding 9 people to the budget. So how about we don't add the 9 people to the budget right away, or take them out of the budget for right now and add them later when we see that we're not having a problem. In our economy, I don't know what's going to happen. They're just talking about this all the time. I would rather see us take some of the money that we have. We have some undergrounding we talked about. That's $2.1 million. I'd rather see us treat and handle the folks that are having the water issue right now. I'm just going to call it a water issue. I'm not going to call it a storm issue or the tides or what happened here. But we have people, and we've known this. We know this. We've known this all along. In here in Dunedin that are having problems. And that we just took out 47 tons of trash out of Dunedin that was building trash. So I'm concerned about us extending ourselves. We went from 2019 a debt of 31 million, and when this passes through, we'll be at a debt level of $125 million if these things were all to go into effect. We're taking away the right and the ability of future commissions to deal with issues that we might have up here. We're just at a debt. If we're 100, just call us $100 million steady. $108 million is in our budget right now. $108 $8 million, and if you look at a debt of 125 million, we're getting up there. I mean, that's getting up there. Doesn't matter about the rules. It matters about what we think we can do. We have, I believe it's $10 million that we have to pay out for in the debt proceeds for this year. I believe that's in the budget. That's a lot of money just going to debt. So I wanted to have at least a conversation about why. I hear things set up here now that we've talked about before. I see me getting attacked. It's not my intent. My intent was to have a conversation about this, to ask if we couldn't get some relief. I see us talking about things that we're working on that are big projects right now because we want to do those big projects. Some of those projects don't have to be done now and can be done just a little differently. Asking about the garage, asking for a possibility of a private partnership in there. We have no remedy monies back once the thing is built. We're building a garage. It's costing us about $65,000 per space, and who knows what it's going to cost to maintain and the like. So I know we wanted parking. I voted to buy that lot. We bought that lot for $4 million. Very, very expensive. So I'm not opposed to trying to take care of some of our problems. I would like for us just to slow down just a little bit. And in this particular case, the solution perhaps would have been and could be to take out just one of those projects for right now and put it back in again as we see what's happening. Again, really nobody really knows. So I would have asked for a motion to allow us to decrease or bring some number between $300,000 and $600,000 and put it back into the reduction for a rollback. What did the Board of Finance do? I was the chair of the Board of Finance. Chair of Board of Finance received this information and they were said, here's your budget. And the Board of Finance would never tell you to roll back your rate when they saw what that budget was. We're completely overspending what we're taking in. And they did ask us to be conservative. And someone's saying we're being conservative. We're not being conservative. And I wouldn't have said it that way except I was attacked. That's not being
I'm sorry, Commissioner, nobody attacked anybody. I would not have allowed that, and I heard somebody remark about the difference of opinion they had, but I didn't hear anybody attack you. So let's not use the word attack.
Someone had someone attempted to bring attention to something that I was attempting to work on in what I consider a negative way. So I'm going to just leave it at that. So I'm asking to have somebody give us or to amend a motion to reduce our ad valorem rate, just to give some release, some pressure on some folks that are in the city that are not receiving any increases in some cases, and in some cases are only receiving an increase to their Social Security, but not their pension if they have a pension. Thank you.
Commissioner Gao.
Thank you, Mayor. On the first reading, I voted to keep the millage rate at the 4.135, and I'm still in support of that today. I certainly appreciate Commissioner Walker's comments and Commissioner Freen's comments and the Vice Mayor's comments, because I share some of the same concerns, but I'll talk about those for the budget. The challenge that I have with any type of one, I just believe, especially when it comes to revenue and what the city can do, is it needs to be as consistent as it possibly can be. That just creates a stability within the budget all the way through. So when we start changing millage rates or we start changing this, because we have no control over what the market is going to do with housing. And the moment we start reducing the mill rate, that 1.5 that we might be giving back to the residents this year, that's 1.5 that we don't have next year, the year after that. And while we might think of 1.5 million today as something we might be able to absorb, we can't absorb that going forward. And so all of a sudden, we'll have to raise the mill rate to try and recapture some of that lost revenue. And then we get into this back and forth. At least that's the way I perceive it. So it's a lot easier to keep the mill rate the same and just move forward. We did get the support of the Finance Board, which I greatly appreciate. And so that's where I stand, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll just say some comments, and then I'll find out if anybody's willing to make the amendment. What I'm concerned about is that today is the first day we've even heard an amount that being requested to reduce the millage rate by a dollar amount. Today, after all of how many meetings did you say we had?
We had
10, 8? Out of 8 meetings, today, the very last meeting, is the first time we've been told a specific number to where we could even talk about what would be reduced, what would come out of the budget for that millage reduction. And so I hope you don't take this as an attack, but how's anybody supposed to respond to that on the very last budget meeting? I mean, you've talked about projects, Vice Mayor, but those projects aren't using property tax for the most part, so it doesn't help us for that rollback. Everything you've talked about doesn't help us with the property tax issue. And so I'm not going to sit here at 7:30 at night, the very last budget meeting, the second reading of this resolution, and just now getting told 300,000 to 600,000 or something like that, without anything to go by on what service is going to be cut. That would be completely irresponsible. And yes, I would want the Finance Board to weigh in on that. And I know you've been on the Finance Board, but the Finance Board's changed. And yes, I believe if they thought the economy was that bad, they'd be saying something. I watch the economy too. I was an economic forecaster. So I watch the economy too. And the city is dealing with cost of living increases, wage inflation, cost of gas, cost of electric, cost of supplies. All the things that are mentioned that our residents are dealing with, so is the city. And so, yeah, our costs have gone up, and we have to deal with that. I've heard we need to really have great reserves. You can't do any kind of a rollback and still have great reserves. Because again, these projects that keep getting discussed aren't coming out of our millage rate. They're coming out of ARPA, they're coming out of Penny, they're coming out of other places. So I appreciate what you want to do, Vice Mayor, for our residents. I do. I appreciate it greatly. But when you're going to make the argument in a timely fashion that we can all actually work with you on it, and don't talk about projects that aren't affected by the property tax. Be factual. So, Commissioner Walker and Commissioner Franny, there's been a request to amend the motion on the final millage. I think it was somewhere between 300 and 600,000 dollar reduction in I don't even know what that means as far as the millage rate. Are either one of you willing to consider that amendment to the motion?
With all due respect to my colleague, Vice Mayor, I am not in favor of proposing any amendment.
And I will say it the same way, with all due respect to the Vice Mayor, I'm not willing to do that either. And I want to make it very clear, I care about our residents. If I thought it was responsible to do a rollback, I would be the first one to put it forward. I am not in favor of amendment at this time.
Okay. Anyone from the public wish to come forward and speak to this item? I think I forgot that part earlier.
You're good.
I did?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Okay. I did forget, or I did it?
No, ma'am, you asked.
Okay. That's what okay. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Twarnga.
Nay.
Commissioner Gao.
Aye.
Commissioner Franny.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Mayor Bujalski.
Aye. This motion passes 4-1. Okay, let's jump to the budget itself, and then I'm going to take a break. So there really isn't anything else you want to say about the budget, right?
No, just the resolution.
Jennifer?
Resolution 23-13, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dunedin, Florida, adopting the final operating and capital budget for the City of Dunedin, Florida for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, and providing for an effective date. That was Resolution 23-13, read by title only.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the budget?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Franny and Commissioner Walker. Okay, nothing, are you doing anything?
Just a couple of quick comments back, just a minute, background. Just want to mention that on September 6, 2023, the City Commission adopted Resolution 23-11 establishing the 24 tentative operating and capital budget in the amount of $133,282,000 in all funds. No changes have been made to the tentative budget as passed by the Commission on September 6, 2023. Want to mention, the city manager mentioned the budget was presented in the newspaper on Sunday, September 17th in the Tampa Bay Times, and staff recommends approval of the final 24 operating and capital budget. Thank you.
Okay, any questions on this item? Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak to this item? All right, final comments. Maker of the motion was Commissioner Franny.
Well, I had some final comments, but let me turn my mic on. Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add to this, again, I'm supportive of the budget, and I'm supportive of some of the things that we had to do in terms of the market and the budget, but I did want to make one comment about the capital items in the budget. Again, I just want to reiterate something I said last time, and that is, we're looking at four main projects that we're trying to fund here, and we're trying to make them work, but we didn't pull them out of the air. Again, I brought this up at the first public hearing. On April 25th of 2017, the city the current interim city manager did a letter to the county, and this was prior to the vote on the penny for Pinellas. And on that list was our signature projects that we advertised to the public that we wanted to do with this money prior to the public voting on it. And they were Emergency Operations Center, which is done, new City Hall Government Service Center, which in some of the correspondence included a parking garage, the Pavement Preservation Program, which we've increased a lot of money in that program to improve our streets, Skinner Corridor Improvements, which again, we have a lot of grants to and it's in process, and our Aquatic Center, because we know our pool's leaking like a sieve and we need a new pool. Those were advertised items prior to the vote of the penny. We didn't pull these things out of the air. Now, we're going to have a role in all four of these projects. There's a lot of decision points yet to go. We will have a role, and at some point, if we can't afford them, we're not going to do them all. And at some point, if one of them doesn't make sense, we're going to pull them back. So we have all the power still up here to make good, rational, responsible decisions about those projects. And I support the budget.
Thank you, Commissioner Franny. Commissioner Walker?
So the big item for the operating capital budget is obviously the capital projects that we've got on the table. And we've spent, roughly the last 3 to 4 months talking about those. The staff has gone back and forth with various requests that we have made with regards to different phases, different arrangements, everything else. And the one thing that I've heard over the course of my discussion with the residents and the community is that, and this is not going to be a surprise to anybody, but of our town of 38,000 people, we serve a lot of different needs, a lot of different requirements. And so first of all, we advertise these as our signature items, as Commissioner Franny said. And second of all, when you're starting to hear the support for these items, you have to listen. That's the most important part. And we're all listening. The other thing that makes this somewhat unique, and in this point in time, which is important, is Recovery Act money, that, you know, that was, I mean, we were a recipient of that, and it's got an expiration date on it, and it's got some specific intended things that it has to be spent on. All right, well, I see where we're spending that money, and I would say that that's absolutely appropriate. CRA, kind of the same thing. Penny for Pinellas, the fund's doing great. So we are at a point in time where, through the staff's recommendation, and I have really appreciate the methodology of what they've done that. In fact, I told the city manager today that one of the things that in my first year on the commission that I've taken away here is that how good the staff is at their jobs. And so far be it from us I mean, we are the checks and balances up here. So at the end of the day, if anything goes south here, we do have an opportunity to weigh in because I'm firmly confident the staff will come and present the status of these projects. So again, point in time, we serve a number of different constituencies, and I don't know how you make a decision against one project against another. Parking garage, you know, I'll be honest with you. There are things in there I don't like, but, you know, when the downtown businesses are saying that they need more parking, and probably the number one thing I heard over the course of my campaign was not enough parking, you know, it's almost a, you know, you gotta try to make that effort. But I am absolutely confident that we will be involved in the updates on these things. We will be involved and we will be allowed various off-ramps if needed. And, you know, I think for that reason, I support the budget. So, thanks for all your hard work, Les and Ashley.
Thank you, Commissioner Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. As I've said before, we have a fantastic accounting department. They presented and have worked really hard making changes to whatever needed to be changed, and I'm sure we'll continue to do so. I consider them top 10, but I don't mean the top 10, I mean the best. Couple comments that were made up here. Why would I bring this now? Well, we just don't vote yes now because it's the last. If we discover that something that we're concerned about, well, we would ask to have a discussion. That's why I requested an amendment, so we could discuss that and see if we think something changed, and perhaps it didn't, and perhaps it did. Someone just said that I was concerned about the ad valorem, and the rest of it is other monies. I didn't say it wasn't. Of course, I understand that. And I'm asking for two separate things here. One is for the ad valorem, and then number two is that we just chill a little bit and take something off that we can put right back on again if we wanted to. I am concerned about our rating. I hope that's not affected, and I am concerned about where the economy is. I'm going to go ahead and read what the Board of Finance said. As to the budget, expenses exceed revenues by $13.4 million. While this appears to be driven largely by the $28.6 million increase in capital, we believe a more cautious approach is warranted for the following reasons. There is no consensus on the general economic direction for the balance of this year and into the first half of next year. A recession is still possible, which could have ramifications. 2004 is an election year and may also have some negative impact on the economy. While inflation appears to be slowing, there may still be some surprises as we roll out our capital projects regarding cost of materials and wage and availability of contract labor resources. They have a concern, and they go on and they talk about this. They want us to, they said, prioritize and again, be careful and be conservative. And that's what they communicated to us as far as the conservative side of it. They obviously, if you read that, if you heard that, they want us to be conservative. I don't believe that we're being conservative. I believe that taking our our debt to the levels that we are at this point in time puts us at some potential danger and takes away the flexibility of any future commission. So again, I would ask that we have some changes made to the budget. I would ask, how about just one thing? How about we just take that project out and set it aside, knowing full well that we're not going to start on it right away anyway. Again, we got $500,000 in there for the management of the project, meaning we're not managing it. Somebody's going to be managing it for us. And we don't have the people at this point in time, because we got 46 people positions that are not filled, and just let it set back. We can put it back in again later. Do we need parking downtown? Yeah, sure. We've always needed parking downtown. There's nothing new about that. We hear that. We know that. But we also know we have people in trouble. And we can do some reallocating of that. And again, as I mentioned before, I understand what ARPA money can be spent for. We will spend that money. There's no intentions of letting that go away. Comment was made, we have to spend. Of course, we're going to spend that money. We just allocate it. This group right here can make all of that happen if we ask them to do that. So I'm going to just leave it at that. And those are my comments.
Commissioner Gao?
Thank you, Mayor. I won't repeat my oatmeal story.
Till you don't got it. It was a good story, though.
See, but that was my, thank you, Commissioner Freeney, yes. We got it, until we don't, is the moral or lesson that at least my wife and I learned with oatmeal in the car. Listen, this is such a mixed bag for me. I do support the budget, and I will vote in favor of it, but that doesn't mean I'm comfortable with it. The challenge of our housing market the way it's been, resulting in an increase in our property taxes. So we got an increase in revenue there. The penny for Pinellas has performed better than expected through and coming out of the pandemic. So we're doing well there. We've got ARPA money that we have, and yet we feel the need that we have to finance some capital projects. That bothers me. I've never, I know that I talk in terms of we don't need a parking garage, but I've also talked in terms of it's because we need to diversify the parking, and putting it all in one place isn't necessarily the best option that I see going forward. But there is so much in this budget that is also so good. Far be it from me, when the city manager says I need to add staff, I just don't see where I'm the guy that's saying, no, you don't. So that, to me, that doesn't make sense to me. So if she says that she needs it, then she needs it. The comp study, absolutely we need to support our employees and make them whole. We've talked, half this meeting was about engineering. A simple line item in the agenda tonight, and it ended up going off on our golf course and engineers and hiring them and how hard it is. So that is an ongoing concern, so we have to be prepared to be in a position to hire them when that opportunity arises. And there's so much more in the budget that is good. And Les and Ashley, you guys do work insanely hard. And I know that this has been a hard year for you. And you work the numbers, and you work the numbers, and you work the numbers. We've always been a resident-driven community as far as I'm concerned, and so we are listening to our residents, and these are the things that they want. And so we need to acknowledge those as well. So that's all my comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gao. What was that? Okay. What this budget does for our community we have gone over 8 meetings, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. We're taking care of our employees. We're filling much-needed staff we are still under staff levels, the number, than we were almost 20 years ago. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I have to say that. We did not just discover this need to discuss this rollback. We've been discussing it and discussing it and discussing it. That is not something we just discovered. I think this commission has voted on the parking garage, so we don't need to keep talking about it till the next thing that comes forward. It is also not $65,000 a spot, because if you look at the cost of the garage, you have to look at its lifetime, not just what you initially pay for it. You got to look at how long it lasts when you do that division. So let's be honest about the cost per space, or factual. I'm not trying to insinuate somebody's not telling the truth. We have a debt level that we've self-imposed of 20%. I understand that, Vice Mayor, you did not agree with that. It was recommended by our Finance Board. It's been approved by several different commissions to go along with that. And this was done at the time we did the Blue Jays deal. And I understand you never agreed with it. But the fact of the matter is we are under that 20%. I don't care what the dollar value is. If our experts are telling us, our financial experts, not just our staff, but our financial advisors are saying that we can do this, and we're under our Finance Board approved debt ratio, then I'm not going to question that. I'm just not. So it doesn't mean I don't question things. I mean, I think everybody in their world knows that I question a lot of things. I just think that, we're on different pages up here. But I think what I want to really focus on is the amount of work, Jennifer, you and your team have done, all of your department heads, the finance staff, the Board of Finance, my colleagues. You had to do a lot of studying and a lot of thinking and a lot of work. The amount of hours we've spent here. I really hope our budget process isn't this long next year.
We agree.
I just want to thank you guys for all the hard work. And, it's a process. We all have to talk our feelings through. And, I don't always agree with my colleagues. They don't always agree with me. Everybody has a right to feel the way they feel and say what they want to say. And we have a right to vigorously disagree. It's not meant to be disrespectful in any way. It isn't. It's just we agree to disagree. And I hope we all walk out of here and we're all just fine and, that's the way it is. We're just not always going to agree. But I think our community gets a whole lot out of this budget. And I'm not going to list all those things because we've been talking about this and saying the same things over and over and over again for about 3 meetings now. I'm just not going to bore everybody with that again. So roll call vote, please.
Commissioner
Wait,
Gao.
did I do public hearing?
But yes, ma'am, you did.
Okay,
Yes.
roll call vote.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Torringa, Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Franny,
Aye.
Mayor Bujalski.
Aye, that motion passes 4-1. Okay, I know we have the business plan. You don't have to be here for that, but I need to take a break. I need a minute. So we'll take about a 5-minute, we'll take a quick break, okay? Because I know everybody wants to get out of here. we're coming back to our commission meeting, and we're going to Resolution 23-21, our municipal business plan. Jennifer?
Resolution 2321, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dunedin, Florida, adopting a fiscal year 2024 through fiscal year 2029 municipal business plan for the City of Dunedin, Florida, and providing for an effective date. That was Resolution 23-21, read by title only.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Gowan, Commissioner Franny. Anything anybody wants to add?
Just a couple comments, if I could. Mayor, just some brief background. Staff presented the draft business plan to your commission on June 1st for review and further discussion. The business plan today includes 49 business initiatives and 110 capital improvement projects at a total cost of $54.3 million in fiscal year 24. Want to mention a few brief key elements in the business plan. The business plan covers the time period 24 through 29. It is a comprehensive look at the 24 budget and future years. Since the June 1st workshop, we've discussed the 24 draft business plan. There have been changes that were presented at the July 18th and July 15th budget workshops 2 and 3, and also our special budget meeting on August 22nd, 2023. There have been no changes to the business plan or budget since the August 22nd, 2023 special budget meeting. And want to mention that both the 24 operating and capital budget and the business plan can be found on the Finances Department website. And that concludes our comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the business plan for our staff? Okay. Is there any public input? This is a public hearing. Seeing or hearing none, I'll come back to the maker of the motion, Commissioner Gale.
No comments.
Commissioner Franny?
No comments.
Commissioner Walker?
No comments, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Tornga?
I have nothing.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tornga,
Aye.
Commissioner Franny,
Aye.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
and Mayor Bujalski.
Aye, and that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Then we have the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Annual Addendum to the Contract for Law Enforcement Services. I forgot about that, Teresa. Now I know why you can't leave. Thank you, guys.
It's only fitting if I start the meeting, I should end the meeting.
That's right.
So good evening once again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. I have before you the annual renewal of the addendum to the contract for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. As you know, they provide the law enforcement services for the city. The contract has increased by 6.27%, and that's mainly attributable to salaries, deputy salaries. The Sheriff's Office did an audit of the number of school crossing guards in the city, and it was determined that we did not need 6 positions, mainly because they were at crossings that are not used by any pedestrians, any children going to school. So that has been taken from the contract. And the contract also includes the usual contribution of $10,000 for the Safe Harbor program that's funded by all the participating cities. And then we also include 680 hours of secondary employment, as well as our 5 community police and deputies, 2 of which are dedicated to traffic enforcement. At this time, I'll take any questions you may have.
Okay. Questions?
Yes, ma'am. That 6 point whatever percent increase, was that offset by the reduction that you referenced in the contract?
It was actually higher, it came in higher, and then they took the 6 crossing guards off, so the final is 6.27. We had budgeted I think 5, and then it went up to maybe 7, and then with the crossing guards, it went down.
Okay, and that total is 312,204.
Yes, the increase
All right.
amount.
And I'm assuming, you said we budgeted 5 and it's coming in at 6.7. Is that, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Any questions, Commissioner Freni?
I do, I have one. So at any given time, how many officers are literally on the street?
I think it depends on the shift, but I don't have an exact number at any given time. But our 5 deputies, our CPOs work during the days, and then we have a night shift. That includes some traffic enforcement, but I can get that number for you.
Yeah, could you just do that, just by, I know it depends, I mean, sometimes night shift has more, and I forget how it is, but I'd love to see, and we used to have sectors, and I don't know, are they in sectors, or, I'd love to kind of see how dispersed we are at the different times of the day,
Okay.
or shifts of the, I think if there's 3 shifts, that would just be helpful to me. That's my only question.
Any other questions on this end?
Yes, Mayor. Yeah, just the dollar amount of this addendum was in the budget that we just approved?
Yes.
Yes, yes, it is.
Wanted the public to know that.
Vice Mayor, anything?
Thank you.
Nothing? No. Okay. This is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to come forward and speak to this item? Please feel free. Seeing none, come back to the commission. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Frani and Vice Mayor Tornga. Okay, Commissioner Frani, any final comments?
I do. So I think this is a really great example, when you look at our budget, of something over the years, and we've been with the Sheriff's Office for like 20-plus years. Prior to that, we had our own police department. Very difficult on the community to make that change, but we saved $2 million+ a year. And of course, it's been over 25 years, so 50 million plus. And a 25% tax decrease was given at that time as part of it. So again, I look at that as something, when you talk about a budget that tries to be lean, I mean, this was a decision made by a prior commission to try to really control that tax rate for the future and provide for some of the other amenities we've come to enjoy here in Dunedin. But again, it's an example where I think you're already doing the most lean way we can do this, the most responsible way we can do it, but we get an increase above what we budgeted for. We can't control it. We understand it. There's market demands based on, law enforcement these days. And so, again, this is part of what drives our budget. And I think it's a good example of the method is probably as clean as we can make it, but it's still the market demands us to be able to have to fund it so we keep our communities safe. And as we just saw in our survey recently, I mean, people consider our community safe. That's one of the things that makes us be able to enjoy all the other things that we do. So I just kind of wanted to lay that out because, again, every piece of the budget is responsible decisions to help keep costs down. And we've had the full advantage of this methodology for a long time. And again, I think that's incumbent upon us when we look at all the other ways we do things to always try to strive for that leanness. And I think that's how we do our budget. So I think it's a great example. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Commenting about the
Any final comments about the sheriff's contract?
sheriff's contract. No, I appreciate the time that went into that, and I appreciate the explanation, and I know I've asked for some things, and it's always there, and I think we got a great group, and I'm very pleased with the contract that we have, continuation, and I love that safe harbor.
Okay.
No comment.
Commissioner, any final comments? Okay. I just want to remind that, we continue to want to see our community policing officers on foot in the downtown and getting to know the businesses, physically going into the businesses and being seen around downtown at all different hours, especially in the evening on the weekend. And other than that, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tornga,
Aye.
Commissioner Franny,
Aye.
Mayor Bujalski.
Aye, and that motion passes unanimously. We then have the proposed agenda for October 5th, which has one item on it, which is the Fenway, second reading of the Fenway.
Yes.
All right, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Vice Mayor Tornga and Commissioner Gao, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Jennifer, I know you said you had an informational item.
I do, thank you, Mayor, and this is more of a public service announcement. This is floodwater intrusion debris information update as of today. The initial storm, this is from our Public Works Department, Solid Waste Division. The initial storm-related debris collections in the flood-impacted neighborhoods began Monday, September 11th, and were completed Thursday, September 14th. A total of 726 cubic yards, or 84.47 tons of debris was collected over the 4-day period. A final pass is planned for Monday, September 25th. 2 City of Dunedin mobile electronic message signs will be placed in the Baywood neighborhood starting tomorrow, which is Friday, to inform residents to safely place at the curb all remaining storm debris over this coming weekend. Residents are reminded to prepare debris along roadway by sorting by type, i.e. furniture, drywall, wood, appliances, etc. Do not place near mailboxes or under power lines. Keep and store sandbags that were not in floodwaters for preparation for future events. Hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th. Do not dispose of sandbags that were in floodwaters in your regular trash. Please bring used sandbags separated from other waste to the Pinellas County Solid Waste Disposal Complex, 3095 114th Avenue North, St. Petersburg. Phone number 727-464-7500. For any questions, please call the City of Dunedin Solid Waste Division, 727-298-3215. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jennifer. Commissioner Tornga, you said you had an item you wanted to tell us about.
Yes, this beautiful globe in front of us. Today is September 21st. This is the international celebration of peace throughout the entire world. And we did celebrate at 6 o'clock at another location. We weren't there because we were here, but we did have a celebration of peace here in Dunedin. So, and this little globe happens to be from Dr. Hale's annual prayer breakfast, which is held at the Salvation Army this morning. And I thought just to bring that in and let it sit there in front of the mayor. Celebration of peace. Peace.
Well, thank you very much. Anybody else?
And that celebration was at the community center?
It was at the park.
Oh, was it Weaver Park?
Weaver.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
I'm just going to add to that. I was at the breakfast this morning, too, and of course, it's all really a memorial breakfast for Dr. Hale. Of course, our health center is named after, and he was the epitome of community service, and so there's always an award given to, someone who's done exemplary community service. But it's a great event. A lot of leaders were there, and it really celebrates giving back to your community. So John, I'm glad you brought that in.
Anybody else? Well, several of us are going out of town. Have a great trip, Jennifer.
I will.
Mo, enjoy your family. Appreciate it. We'll see you all back in the beginning of October. The next thing we'll be having is our chamber dinner next Friday. So I hope everybody's.
I'll still be out of town, and
You'll
they
still
know
be at
that. I
it,
have
okay?
some
And I know you
regrets.
will, but you'll be here. You guys will be here, so I know Tom and I are going. Okay, talk to you later. Well, we are adjourned.